This is a man's world.
What is going on, everybody? And thank you for tuning in to another episode of the ManUp Real Talk podcast. I am your host, Mr. Mike Wilding, saying greetings and salutations to all of you, our faithful followers and listeners. Look, we appreciate every like, every share, every click, every download, whatever it is that you do to support this podcast. We know we appreciate y'all because we know that had it not been for you, it wouldn't be no us. And look, who's back from his expedition of exploring the tombs of King Tut on last week is Mr. Philip Hines, a.k.a. Mr. Classic, a.k.a. OG Triple OG, who is definitely in the building, I think, because he's either meditating or his screen has frozen. I can't determine which one. Phil, are you there, sir? Oh, he's awake. Hey, what's going on? Can you hear me? All right. He's dozing back on. Hello. Phil? Philippines?
What's going on? Can you hear?
I can hear you now, but you real delayed, brother. You real delayed. It must be from the jet lag.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but you kind of breaking up. Breaking up, man. Use your phone, Phil. Just use your phone, fam. Get the phone out. Make it happen. It's all right. Technology. You got to love it or hate it. It's all good. Can you hear me? If you can hear me. I don't know if he can hear me. But yeah, eventually Phil will be joining us on today. We thank God for technology. It is a blessing and a curse at the same time. But I just thank God for him. Thank God for you all that's joining me on today. Listen, man, it's Friday. It's another Friday. We thank God for getting us through the week. Look, I think we got a good show for today, man. We got some awesome guests that's about to come on in a minute, and I'm just excited. I'm excited about what God is doing, and I'm excited about the move of the Lord and just the direction that He's taking us in. And I'm just excited. I'm excited about what He's doing, and I'm excited about these conversations. Listen, if you missed last week's episode, we had Pastor Steve on. Big ups to Pastor Steve. He came on, and we were talking about the disconnect of the church and young men and everything. And a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom. We appreciate him. I just want to shout him out real quick. And if you have not had a chance to check out that episode, please do so. You can check it out right here on my Facebook page. You can go to our podcast Facebook page at ManUp Real Talk Podcast, or you can check us out on YouTube. If you have not already done so, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe. It don't cost nothing. Stop playing with me. Y'all need to go on over there and subscribe to the channel and and support. We gonna be good to go. Mitzi, hey, what's going on, girl? As always, I appreciate you for tuning in. As always, we thank you. Mitzi is she is my number one supporter. I appreciate her. Look, I got some great guests lined up on today. And these guys are no strangers to the podcast. Our first guest is I call him my local historian, although he's in the mountains. The Rockies, I think he's in Denver, if I'm not mistaken. He'll correct me if I'm wrong. But this brother, he is a like legit historian, and he is the founder of the Erudition Network, and he is no stranger to ManUp. My brother, my friend, Mr. Eddie Phillips. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? Good to be here. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, man. I'm glad we back, man. It's been, and look, we was on the hiatus, Eddie. I had to take a break, man. I had to detox.
I feel you. I feel you.
I had to take a break, man. But I'm glad. I'm glad we back, and it feels good to be back.
That's good. I'm
Yeah,
happy
yeah,
y'all back too.
yeah. And my next guest we bringing on, he is also no stranger to the podcast, and or to the podcast or the media sphere. He is a prolific songwriter and director. He is a dynamic MC, and he is one half of a dynamic duo of him and his wife Natasha Pritchett. They host a MP3 show. My friend and my brother, Mr. Sean Pritchett. What's going on, sir?
Chicago Bears. What's up, Chicago Bears?
It's Sean. It's too early. It's too early.
Hey, it's never too early. You got to celebrate right now.
No, you don't.
Got to celebrate right now.
No,
right
listen,
now. What's going on, y'all?
I'm gonna do you a favor, and I'm gonna kill all the hype right now,
Okay.
so you won't be disappointed in this season.
It's gonna be a great season.
Yeah, you said that last time. That's all I'm saying.
I'm giving them until October 1st.
You get them until October. Okay.
October.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'm giving them to October, and then I'm gonna say, well, they just need a few more, some more time. This year, it's not really don't really count. I'll give you that excuse already.
All right. Mr. Hines said, give him a minute. His Wi-Fi is acting up. All right, let's see if he's back. All right, there he is. Let me see if I can bring him onto the stage. Mr. Philip Hines, are you good? What are we doing? What's going on? You need a minute? Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you just really delayed. It's just a little lag. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
He might have to restart it.
He might have to restart it, yeah. But he'll come back. He'll be back. Listen, I don't want to prolong the time because this is a topic that I wanted to have with you guys and get your perspectives on it, because it could just be me, but I know I've had conversations with other men and other brothers, other believers, and one of, I think, and you all can chime in, I think one of the biggest challenges for men in church today is the lack of genuine or real brotherhood. And I mean that real meaningful connection that with other brothers, with other men in the church, especially it seems like in the Black communities where we go through this thing, guys, where we show up, right? We sit through the service and we go home, and we don't really form any bonds. And I'm curious as to why you guys think that is. And I guess that can be the first question. And everybody that's watching, I appreciate you guys. Jackie, I see you. I appreciate you, Mother Latham. God bless you for tuning in. Listen, like, tag, and share somebody in this conversation, please. I think it's something that everybody needs to hear. But let me put this first question out there. And I'm just gonna lay it out there, and you guys can take it in whatever order. Why do you think so many churches struggle, or do you think that churches struggle to create a real brotherhood among men? Sean, I'm gonna put it to you first.
I don't know if you want to counsel me first, because I'm gonna keep it real 100 the way I think.
That's why I got. Listen, man. That's why I got y'all on here, because I know y'all gonna be honest. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what we need. We gotta look. We gotta stop walking around these topics,
right.
like you know what I'm saying. It's like this. These are real issues. And the reason why I got you on here, the reason why I got Eddie on here, and my other guests who they had some other things that come up, but it's because I know that y'all gonna be honest. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And say what needs to be said. And here's the thing, church people, some of y'all get upset whenever people have conversations like these, like we attacking the church, and we're not attacking the church. But what we're doing is that we're bringing some things to the light that maybe need to be brought to the light a little bit more, because it's an issue, and it's issues that we don't talk about. So I want you to be honest. I don't want you to feel like you have to be a certain way. I said, look, I want all the smoke. I said that last week. I want it all.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got something that you want to put out there, put it out there. Let's go.
I believe that first of all, the black church, especially of my experience, it caters more to women. Men are not valued in the church. Men are aimed at security, maintenance. Those are the roles that they want men to be. That's when men could get some value. As long as you're securing, and as long as you're cleaning, you're helping taking chairs, you're helping picking up tables, you're doing all of this. You're doing husband duties in the church, and without having the wife to satisfy you in the church. And I don't mean like wife as in your actual wife. I'm talking about like just overall. I'm just speaking like we are expected do husband duties in church. Secure, protect, get tables, pick up this, do this. But the what wifely duties are we having in church? The wife is not valuing us. Those kind of things, man. We're not valued as a man. We're valued as what we can do to make you happy as a woman. And I'm not talking to women in general. I'm just saying that's the way men are looked at in the church. Not valued as in the God created man we are. We're valued as the helper, and we want called to be the helper.
So now let me just make sure. It sounds like what you're saying is that the church look at men more as commodities and not as individuals.
Absolutely.
That's crazy. But here's the thing, that's not that far off though.
Unless you're
I know a lot of brothers that feel that way. Like they feel like they're only there to do manual labor. And that's the only thing that they're good for. Because really, if you think about it, if you're not preaching, if you're not a deacon, if you're not on the soundboard, if you're not a musician, if you're not praise team, it's not really much else for you to do.
Nope.
As a man in church.
Nope.
Mike said the church needs to be attacked. Mike, come on, man. It's too early in the podcast. Give us 20 minutes, at least 20 minutes. Well, Eddie, let me ask you the same thing. Why do you think churches struggle? Like, why do you think churches struggle to kind of create that real brotherhood or that bond? Or do you feel, maybe your experience has been different, do you feel that the churches struggle with creating that bond with men?
I don't think that in the beginning that it did. I mean, I have to look at it historically. If we look at it, how the black church, because we have to make that distinction, right? The Du Bois wrote in Souls of Black Folks, he wrote that one of the things that the black people learned, they didn't teach us religion per se. This was not the white man's religion. But what they did teach us was how they worshiped. And because they had a issue between their Christianity, their democracy, their thought of moral value, as well having that, and then trying to keep a slave, they came up with excuses. So anytime you are taught religion in the form of an excuse, right, you lose the full understanding of it, because you're teaching it to control and not to free. And so that is a part of it that I think that hurt us. I do believe that as time has gone on, I agree exactly with what Sean has said. We have made masculinity. The preacher had to make the man of the house seem less in order for the woman to adhere to what he wanted her to do at the church, right? And so there is always this negative idea of, my husband doesn't want to come to church, but the husband might have had to work a job. The husband, he has time constraints. The husband has to feed his family. But that is always looked up as negative. Well, why doesn't your husband come to church? And then when he does come to church, you demonize him for the time that he's there, because now when he shows up, well, you ain't never here, brother such such, right? Mm-hmm. But he, and then all he sees it as in a lot of ways is not from the original church, which was helping to support the people. He sees it as, you just taking money from me, right? Mm-hmm. My wife comes here, she pays tithes, she pays offering, I work, and then I come here and you tell me that I'm not good enough. You tell her that she should challenge me, tell me to read the Bible, all of these things. So you make it a divide. But again, this comes from this historical struggle of how you were taught religion, not faith, right? And so it will hinder what it is that you're doing. And so I do agree with Sean. I think that when men come to the church, you see a lot of, hey, we need you to do this, we need you to do that, and it pushes at the man's masculinity too, right? Because I'm not going to just let another man tell me, right, and talk down to me, and then say, well, I'm doing it, as they used to say during the Crusades, God wills that you do this right for me. Wait a minute. God didn't tell me to be your slave either, right? So those things fall into it, and it creates a barrier where people say, well, look, then I just won't go. Because if I'm going to go and he say something to me, I might put hands on him, right? And that's the thing with men.
Let me push back on that, though.
Mike, can I say one more
go
thing?
ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
And because that's great, because what Eddie is saying. And another reason I want to just add this, but before you say something, Mike, I don't want to be at a place where I feel like I gotta cry. That's not me as a man. It's like, it's too feminine, and so I don't want to be like all this going on, man. It's like, come on, this is not what I do. And so, but our sisters, they do that and they love it, and the preacher capitalize off that. Not saying that's the intentions, but this is the outlook of the church. When this is going on, you are expected to cry. You are expected to do this, or else you must not be feeling it. Now you looking like you standing off. You looking like, man, the Lord ain't done nothing for you. Like, no, that's just not how I don't respond like that. So that's all I want to say.
Do you think, what is it then that you think, what are some things, like for those guys that come there, right, and they want that kind of connection, but they get there and maybe they don't see it offhand? Like, why do you think that? Because you hear a lot like, we got to bring men into the church. We got to bring men into the church. But yet there are no devices created in order to bring men to the church, seemingly, right? Because it's like you were saying, when I think of church, it does seem as if the church model is catered towards women, it's catered towards children, and it's catered towards older people. It really doesn't seem like there was anything in mind when it came to the man other than servitude, other than to be of a service, or to be, you know what I'm saying, to have that role. So what is it then can the church do to present an atmosphere that says, hey, if you're a man, this is where you need to be, and this is why it's good for you to be here. And let's take Jesus out of the equation, because I know people are real quick to say, well, it's good. They just need the Lord. I get that. I understand that. But before they develop that personal relationship with the Lord, what else is there for them? Because when they come there, they're not going to instantly have that relationship. So it got to be something that holds the man there. It's just like we talked about last week with the youth. What is it that they have, or what is it that the church can do to say, look, brother, this is a place for you. Because it seems like other religions seem to kind of have that down, but I don't know. It's something about Christian belief where we seem to be missing something. What do you? Is it just me, or what do you guys think?
I don't know, man. Because okay, so I will tell you, if you go over to England right now, right, you have ministers and people in the Protestant religion that their people go to church, right? I've been all over the world. They will go to church. Men will show up. They go there. They worship and they leave. I think that there is what we're talking about in a lot of ways is an Americanized religion, and if you look at it again, you know who was the first. Who were the first ushers, people who went out and got offering and did all of that in the church? Those were those old mammies, them old women who used to be in the master's house, right? And that's just historic, right? And so they were conditioned to be docile, to bend to a masculine demeanor. So when you just said, well, why is it that it seems that way? Because it's been taught that way, right? Whereas a man can, so, you know, you look at it and you see if a man says something that you know is shady and suspect. I tell my wife this, you pick up on it and go, no, he shouldn't have said that to you, right? Now that's not something that a man should say to anybody's woman, right? Neither should he say to another man, right? So you pick up on those little things. Somebody put it in here. I think it was Jackie. You need mentorship. You need to create a situation in your churches where you can grow people to understand that masculinity is not a challenge to femininity, right? And vice versa. And that they're supposed to work with each other. And if you do that early, right, you will create a situation, right, where they will feel comfortable going to church. They will feel like they're not being threatened. The other thing is too, when we see I'm gonna make it real plain from people who I've been around. When a man sees that his son has been going to church with his mother, with his auntie, or whoever, and he comes back with that feminine spirit, right? And the man gets mad because he's like, wait a minute, that's not how you. I remember as a child, as a young man, I was sitting down at my grandfather's house, and I wasn't thinking about it. And I crossed my legs, right, in a certain way. And my granddad walked over to me and threw my leg off of my leg and was like, you don't sit like that. Men don't sit like that. Right? Now, I'm thinking, well, what was that about? But I learned men don't sit like that, right? And it's a practical reason too. There's other things he told me. You don't want to squash them. You want to, boy, sit right. So I understand all of that as I've gotten older. And I got boys, right? But I grew up in a house full of sisters.
Yeah, so did I.
I understand, you know, that there is this gravitas towards femininity, but you have to establish a connection with men, right? That make men want to feel like they are there to be developed. They are there to worship. They're there to be listened to. They're there to not feel like they are the you're like I think Sean said earlier, like you're just using them, right? They should feel included.
I agree. So then let's since we kind of went there, let's talk about accountability and mentorship. You know, a lot of guys, whether they realize it or not, and then some do realize that they want that mentorship, right? Especially some of these younger guys. You know, I think, well, depends, because I think we're also in a day and age whereas they no longer look for that mentorship because we stopped giving it. I think somewhere along the lines we just felt like, nah, whatever. They're not listening anyway, so it don't matter. You know, whereas we have the guys when we was coming up that would just constantly like, no, you got to do this, you got to do this, you need to be this way, you need to be that way. We just kind of said, all right, man, you do what you're gonna do, right? That it is what it is type ideal. But how can we then create a culture where men mentor and support each other? Like how do you even go about creating that culture? Because it seems like we don't have that culture anymore. So how do we get that reestablished?
You know, Sean, you
come on, Sean. I know you. I see it in your face, man.
I don't. I think in order to get anything like that reestablished, man, it just, to me, it goes back to, we have to value men in order to, because right now I can't speak for all men, but I can just speak as a man, that right now I don't feel value. Right now I don't feel like my ideas, my input really matter or value. So
wow,
I can already have shut down because of the fact, don't expect anything else from me now. You know, I'm not going to give 110%. I'm going to give 70%. I'm going to be here. You know, I'll do this and I'll do that. But until I see that you really value who I am, you know, I'm not going to. And it can even be something as, hey, let's all do this as brothers. Let's do this. And it's like, no, man, we're not going to do that. You know, we're just going to come to church and we just going to, there's no value, you know?
Yeah,
Jackie, like, let's do a fellowship. And if I see that, you know, that's getting shut down, this is not everybody, but if that's getting shut down, those ideas of just trying to bring men together, you can't really expect to now have men being operable in the church, because of the fact you don't hear them. You're not listening to what they are saying, what will bring men to church. You know, you coming up with all these church ideas to bring men to church. No, men like, you know, fellowship, and men like going bowling.
Yeah.
We're not coming to the church to sing Kumbaya. The ladies will
all
do
the
that.
time.
The ladies would do that. They would come to church,
right.
talk about their feelings, emote, and everything. Man, hey, we're going to bowling, and you know we're gonna get out as brothers, and we're gonna come and we're gonna talk. Conversations may strike up at the bowling alley. Hey, how's everybody family doing? But it's still not within those four walls. So in order to get that part of that, going to the next level of men being mentoring other men, other young men, we have to first build men up, do things, value brothers within the church. Then you can expect expansion.
That's good.
It's true. Because you got to foster that, man. I'm sorry, Mike. You got to foster that. Yeah. If you foster a fellowship, that's why I like, you know, when I see churches sponsor watching football games, going to go bowl. If you're going to go play pool, here's the thing: we have had so many parts of religion tell people what they cannot do. Right? Once you get saved, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. And so people stop watching television, people stop going to the movies, people stop going to sports games, people say, well, I can't do this. And they call everything idolatry, right? When I was a kid, everything is idolatry. You get caught up in the idolatry, you worshiping it. When the reality is that's not life. You got to live down here too, right? So going out and sporting events, going out to go, you know, even the Amish, right? They do barn raisins. They all get together and they raise the barns. They build the houses of the people. The way the old churches used to be is that, and I've said this many times before, the church was the first thing built in these black towns. And then they help people build their homes. They help to establish businesses. They help to educate people. In order for us to get back to that, it starts with fellowship of men. I'm not, and I don't want no woman out here getting mad saying I'm saying that they don't need women. No, that's not true. But men, right, have to work with their hands. They have to build. They have to do things. And when you discourage them, when you tell them that there's no place for that, then they feel like, okay, well, there's no place for me to be here, right? I'll worship God my own way at my house, whatever. I don't need to go with her, like Sean was saying, crying at the church to be vulnerable to you, when that's not my way of serving God. If my way of serving God is that I'm going to make sure that everybody in this community is fed, right? I'm a cook. I'm a carpenter. I'm a mechanic. You know, people in the church having problems with their car. They know who to go to, right? But we're not creating that What we're creating is, well, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people, they're preying off of the money. All they want is that money, right? You come in, you sit here, let me talk to you, and you give me the money, you walk out the door. But there's no community there. There's no projects there. There's no fellowship.
This is something now. This, I think, is often overlooked. Mike said there has to be a tangible or a visible value for men to desire mentorship. And I also think that goes to even like for us, and we always have these conversations about the difference between how men and women think, right? Women think more with their emotions, men think more practically. So if it doesn't feel practical to us, you know what I'm saying? It's if the practicality isn't there, we have no interest in it, right? So if a man can apply, like for instance, if a man can't apply Sunday's message on Monday, he's gonna be like, why am I coming? You know what I mean? So if he's coming there and he doesn't see the practicality of him coming, if he doesn't see if there's nothing tangible to say, this is why you should come, because again, that relationship with the Lord may not be immediate. Something you have to grow into that. But if there's nothing visible or tangible for a man to see and for him to hold on to, he's going to lose interest in it real quick. So then, how can we as believers, as men in the church, how can we help to foster an environment that men can see value in? You know what I mean? Because it's like Sean was saying, like everything don't have to be inside of the four walls. You can go bowling, golfing, sometimes just going over to other brothers' houses. Hey man, listen, I'm grilling this Saturday or whatever. I'm having the brothers over. Y'all come over. I've been smoking a brisket for the last 3 days, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Just to get that fellowship. How can we start, or how do we create that atmosphere where men are attracted to just being among brothers? Phil, I know you've been listening. Did you want to chime in on anything real quick?
I was listening to you guys. You guys all said great things, but I would say, it comes down to us men that's in the church. We have to take the initiative. Mm-hmm. We have to break down this boys club that I done learned over the years of being in church. We have to get rid of this boys club. You know what I'm saying? We got to learn to accept everybody. We got to stop looking at where a person work at, or what they drive, or where they live. You know what I'm saying? And you have to see the person for the human being that they are. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first thing we have to do. We have to break down this boys club that, because he don't make $300,000 a year like I do, I can't have nothing to do with him. We got to stop that, because you're supposed to judge a man by his character. And what I've learned in the church, and I don't want to step on no toes, that when it comes to a man is judged by his wallet and what he got and his status. And that has to go. Because that will push a lot of men away, because a lot of men that's coming to Christ, everybody's not blessed to be on a $500,000 job, $500,000 a year job, or $100,000 a year job. So we have to learn to accept everybody. Just like you want to accept the person that got all the status, you got to learn to accept the guy that's probably making like $20 an hour. You know what I'm saying? Everybody should be treated equal. And that's the number one thing I want to see as far as men in the church. And that's what turns a lot of men off about the church, is because sometimes if you don't fit this certain image, you get shunned. And we first have to get rid of that. And I truly believe that once we get rid of all that type of stuff, we'll pull more men in, because men will be comfortable. No one wants to come around and you sit in the church and you're trying to, politic with people, and they acting like they cool with you, but they still give you that side eye. So once we tear that down, and I'm sorry, brothers, because I'm coming halfway in, and you all that said something great, but that's my main thing with when it comes to men, because we all can fellowship, but the problem with it is certain men wants to fellowship with certain men.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, Mike. That's all I had to say. I hate them on my laptop. So go ahead.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So let me add something to that. Here's the other issue too that you see a lot. You have to also realize that some of these men, these young men specifically, I'm speaking about, they may have been raised in a house where they didn't have a father or a male figure, and so when they come to the church, and all you want to be is authoritarian, right? All you go get this. I'm gonna be the man that's gonna break your son down. I'm gonna teach him. That's not how you come at that, because what you have to do is what we're talking about. Learn how to talk to people where they are, man, who they are, and if you can't do it, then maybe you need to shut up and allow another brother who does come from that understanding to speak to them. Because see, what I found in my time in the Navy, what I found is that some people can't talk to everybody, and they could have the greatest intentions in the world.
They cannot.
But you cannot talk to everybody, and you're gonna say something that might be the thing that pushes that person away from ever wanting to be in the church. Because they were like, the last time I went to church, some man or somebody said something to me, and it made me feel a certain way. And I don't want to embarrass my mama, my auntie, my sister, whoever. So I'm just not gonna go, right? I'm not even gonna get involved in that. And I got a negative view of the church, negative view of brothers, when somebody just should have shut up, realize they don't understand that person's background, who they are, where they come from, and move aside.
But you know what, Mike? Let me say something.
Go ahead.
I'm part of this summer program. We've been doing this since about 2015, 2016. Mm-hmm. I mentor young men, and the young men that I mentor, they're kind of rough around the edges. And what was this last summer? The person that's over their program is one. It was one of the guys that was there, and he was looking at me like, "How do you get him to talk?" You know, he's always, he don't. I said the problem is what us adults need to realize is stop talking to these young men and talk to them. If you talk to them, they're gonna talk back at you. And the guy always say like, bro, I don't know how you do it, man, but I can't get these guys talking to me, period. I said, you got to change up to what you're doing. You got to meet them where they at. I'm not trying to say you got to sit back and have a cussing fest with them, but you can't expect somebody to be somewhere where you expect them to be at that moment.
Right.
And that's just what I go by.
Ain't that how Jesus won people? It's like, you know, I think about this all the time. It's like Jesus never, except for the couple of times that he went to the synagogues, most of the time when Jesus spoke to people, he went to where they were. Mm-hmm. And he used parables so that they can understand him. He spoke in the language that they understood, that they understood in the way that they understood. He used examples that they understood, right? If you're one of them people and you so high and mighty and so high-minded, and when somebody comes in, like Eddie said, and they ain't have the experiences that you have, and they came from a different background, different upbringing, you know, something you say may kind of offend them, and you don't even realize it because you think that just because your status, you can say and do anything that you want to do. And we gotta start checking that, man. Let me ask y'all this, because Phil kind of mentioned it, and he said the boys club thing. Does the church have problems with cliques?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mike, you know that. You've been in church. You've been in church longer than I have, Mike. You know that.
I'm just asking a question. I'm asking questions that people ask me to ask.
But Mike,
go ahead, Bill.
But it's about God. I've learned not to pay attention to stuff like that. I make it about God, but you know it's click. I said it's about God, your personal relationship with God. It's clicks, but you supposed to be focused on God where you know it's there, but you don't put your whole focus on that. You know what I'm saying? It's about your personal relationship with God. But Mike, you know it's clicks in church. You've been in church longer than I have.
I feel I'm asking questions. This is what
I'm mad. I ain't got my laptop.
It's all right. You good? Go ahead, Sean. You was gonna say something.
I was gonna say the church don't have a problem with cliques. The church been had cliques, and it's the norm. I'm telling you, it's the norm. It's status. It's like the class level in the church. And
oh my God! I was
classism. Yes,
swear to you, I was just thinking that, man.
And it's been like that for a long time. I know the historian can come. He could come with some facts about that. But as long as I remember, but you know what?
Oh my God!
It really wasn't as bad because, like Eddie was saying, back in our days when we were kids, we didn't see that. I don't know if it was like that then.
I don't know.
But when we hit those 90s and the 2000s, the new millennium, that's when you really start seeing because growing up, all of us grew up in church. I know Phil's came later, but those of us that grew up in church, you did things as a church. It was
as a church, right?
Now it may have been sister so and so going over sister so and so house and things like that, but and so maybe that's where it started with our parents going just over. You remember going over to Sister Johnson house, and Sister Johnson would cook, and you didn't see all the other people that was at the church, but
you would wonder like, hey, well, what brother so and so? Where they at? Like,
they good. You didn't care. So I believe that's when that stuff started. We just didn't notice it, but it has gotten worse. But I believe clique's been in the church for a long time, man. And
how do we kill clique, Sean? How do we kill him? Can we kill him?
You can't. You can't, man. People are stuck in what they do. They're content, and
yes, sir, Sean.
They're content and how they operate. They're content and where they sit. People are content, and they're gonna you can't kill it.
Man, that just makes it seem like there's no hope.
Well, they bougie, man.
Yeah, man.
They bougie. And you gonna
exactly.
How you gonna be bougie with 5 members? It's like
that's how they are, man.
Mike. Stop, Mike. Don't do that.
I'm sorry.
Don't do that, Mike. Don't do that.
I'm just saying. You got this.
Mike, you stop. I'm out of ushers. Lock the door.
Stop it. First of all,
lock the door.
He did not say lock. He said
close. No, close the door.
He said close.
Close the door.
I was corrected because I was corrected from that last week because
it was closed. No, it was closed. He said closed.
So
I was glad it was shown. I was glad that was shown. And I can speak on that, but I'm not.
No, listen.
I don't care about 2 years or 20 years ago. This stuff been going on for a long time, and I'm just glad it was exposed because of the fact, no, that's all I'm gonna say.
But here's the thing, though. If we're gonna talk about it, that's another reason why you got brothers that feel like, and you really mentioned it earlier. It's like, and even Eddie said, it's like every time I come here, it just always seems like it's about money. Like you don't care about me, but you definitely want me to give every time I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to give these assessments. We love our assessments,
and it could have been
them.
It could have been a good one, like raising money for this ministry, whatever.
It could have been,
and that didn't get caught on tape. But still, this been going on, and outside of him, this been going on a lot, and we know this. Growing up in church, it's been a lot of that. It's been getting this line, getting that line. I done been in part physically in a church where you couldn't get in a line unless the asking fee that the preacher asked for. That's when you will get your prayer. This ain't TV. This ain't movie. I have experience. Yes, they was told to bring a certain amount of money, and those that brought that certain amount of money, you're gonna get a special anointing or something they were giving out. Those that can come close to it, you can stand up here too. And they pray for those people. And then for those that didn't have it, you just got the regular overall prep. Again, that's another day.
So let me ask you all a question. Do you think churches, and I don't know if this is just for men or if this applies to women too. Do you think that church is a little too judgmental and that some men stay away because, or they don't feel that connection because they always feel judged for something in their past or something, you know what I'm saying? Like feel something about these young men and, you know, they're a little rough around the edges. And sometimes when those people come into the church, you know, we look at them a little funny. What is it that we can do to change that culture? Because I think that applies across the board, but I think men especially like tune into that. You know what I'm saying? Like if you go into a place and you feel like if you feel you ain't wanted and feel, I remember he was telling me an experience that he had when the guy was telling him like if he didn't have a suit, you know what I'm saying, he couldn't come in there. Like that's crazy.
Oh yeah. That turned me against the church when they did that to me. That really turned me against the church.
Like that's really what we're doing. We're turning people away because they don't have like.
But they don't care if you're turned away from the church as a man. They don't. There goes that B word called value. If you don't come to church because of the fact we told you to do this, oh well. But you're gonna abide by these rules. And as men, that's not us.
No sir.
Tell us what to do. You know, you don't tell men what to do. That's
that's a great point, Sean, because that right there, and I've seen many people. My wife's father was raised in church, preached in church, and up until the day he died, he was like, I seen too much, I heard too much of what they was doing, and it turns people off, right? Makes people go, you know what? I'm one of those people too. If I don't need to be here, if it's gonna risk me putting my hands on you, right? So I'm one of them dudes that I'm like, it's better that I'm not gonna be here.
Y'all fighting in the church.
I'm just saying, period. That's how I am as a man.
I feel brother Eddie. I feel brother Eddie on that. I feel him on that.
Right? It's better for me to
tight at the church now.
It's better for me to avoid you.
I got you.
Right?
I got you.
Than for me to have to confront you, because the confrontation could go to a point where you might think you using words and I'm gonna be using fists, feet, and whatever, right? And so it's better for me to avoid that, right? For my Christianity, for my faith, for my walk with God, I say, Father, you know what? Let me learn to walk away before I put hands on them, right? Because you gave me these hands. You gave him that neck. So let me just walk away so that I can make sure that, you know, the two do not connect and do not meet.
Lord Jesus.
You know, so I feel a lot of brothers, man. I understand when brothers say, hey, I had to walk away from that, right? I didn't like the way that dude came at me. And some of these preachers, man, you see it online. They have become so aggrandized and so rude and mean, and you ain't gonna talk to my wife and my kids like that in this church.
Kind of way. Yeah,
yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Right?
When you're not around, they can.
Yeah, and so that's that thing. Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, it's like when we're not around, this what happens. And now the wife's coming home. Well, pastor said this. Wait a minute. What house did you come into? Who house? Our house or the church house? Which house is this? I don't want to hear what pastor said. You know, that's how. And it's not my wife, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm saying, but that's how, you know, it goes back to that B word. The value is not there, man. And Phil, if you don't want to wear your suit coat, don't come. And no one's gonna care. But if your wife don't come, that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
And see that to me, also,
Sean just said a mouthful with that one.
He just said
a mouthful.
Do you know how many men I know that when they went to church, one of the things that they say, like Mike, do you know, for years I was always just people didn't even know my name. They just always said, "Hey, Sister So and So's husband." That kind of hit me because I've been there at one point in time. And you be sitting up there thinking I do have a name, but they always just say, "Hey, this is so and so's husband." Hey, so like you don't even take the time to even learn my name. It's like that kind of makes you feel a certain way. And then some people be like, "That's just people are just like that, and you shouldn't take offense to that," and you probably shouldn't. But at the same time, it's kind of like. It's almost as if you kind of just disregard that person. Like, that they're there, but it's like you don't really care enough to even learn their name. And a lot of men feel that way. And that word value is probably going to ring throughout this whole podcast, because if a person don't feel valued,
don't feel respected.
If they don't feel respected, if they don't feel needed, right, then they're not going to want to stick around. Listen, those of us that are married.
Don't you value your pastor more than you value me?
Listen, I was just about to go there. Man. Like you've had instances where men are in church and their wife will value what the pastor is saying over more so than what they're saying. And then there's that conflict. And you couple that with the fact that the man already don't feel like he belonged, that he already just kind of existed, or he's just there because you're there, because there's no connection with the other men in the church because they're too busy being clicked off, or they're too busy not caring, or they're too busy looking at you because you don't have on a suit jacket, or whatever the case may be. And you got a lot of reasons for brothers not to want to come to church. You got a lot.
But Mike, you want to know what's funny about everything?
What?
That happened to me when I got shot. That happened in the 90s. Look at how men dress now. Men barely wear suits to church now.
What's a suit?
Why am I wearing it?
Don't get me wrong. Look, they look good if you wear them. For those that wear them.
I wear my black and white on first Sunday.
Right, Phil definitely be in his. He definitely looks like he's part of the clergy on first Sunday. But
all right, relax, Mike. Relax.
No, bro, you definitely look like you be praying for somebody at the hospital on first Sundays. I'm just saying. But it's so many things that seems to be against men in church. It gets me to wondering then, because now I'm thinking spiritually. I'm wondering, is all of this a plan? Because, and let me ask you guys this: do you think that the enemy is specifically targeting men to keep them out of the church? And if so, why don't the leaders recognize this? And if they recognize it, why are they not doing something to counter it? Do y'all think that's the case? Or is this just something that we're just overanalyzing? Is this just, is it just one of them things where you just need to get over it and move on? Is this a plan of the enemy? I'll throw it to you, Sean. What you think? And be honest. Be honest. Don't give me the churchy answer, Sean. Be honest.
Well, when you got to give a churchy answer when you bring in a churchy question about the plan of the enemy, so it got to be churchy.
Tell him, Sean.
But do I think it's a plan of the enemy? The spiritual part of it, yes, I do. Mm-hmm. Is all his plan was always to attack the man. He's been attacking men for a long time. We could start from before David, Moses, Abraham. He's been attacking men and their families for a long time. He attacked. He's just been attacking. But do I think that do I think he needs any help now? He's straight. His plan is effective. It's like he is like it's being done without him. whatever. He like, oh, it's being carried out. He ain't even paying attention to that anymore because of the fact it's like that's it's working.
So it's just on rails. Is what you're saying? It's like he implemented the plan, and we've just been carrying it out. Like he ain't really had no hand in it in a minute.
Yeah,
he just put it there, and that's all right. I don't know, man. I thought this conversation was gonna go a little different. It seems a little bleak.
No, man. It's not. Listen. It's not bleak. It's a generational thing. There are different ways that this is going on. It has continued. I just dropped in the chat. There's a book. I remember telling Pastor Razor, Pastor Sarton, there's a book. It's the only study that I have seen done it really intensively on the Black church. It's the Black church and the African American experience. They went in and they broke down everything that we're talking about tonight. And that was years ago. It was decades ago, right? So this problem is not new. But we, as I keep telling people, we have ancestors, we have a family, people who have looked at this stuff. The problem is it's not shared with us. It's not provided to us because people feel they're going to lose something if you know something, right? And so one of the things that I always try to tell people is share knowledge. God gave it to all of us. He didn't just say, only Eddie, you learn this, and you the only one supposed to learn this, right? He gave it to all of us. So sharing knowledge is important because you'll find that some of the people even in the churches don't know, right? They're just going off of what how they were taught, how they were brought up in the ministries, how they were brought up in the organizations, and they feel like that's the way to go, right? They don't recognize that whole theology of women, right? Because there is a whole theology, right, of womenist theology and how to get women to come to your church. All of this is taught in some of these religions and some of these groups and some of these organizations, right? How to grow your church. Who should you put in these positions in your church? And so when you go in and study and read and understand how the pulpit and the pew should be, how all of this went, and then you trace it back for African Americans, and you understand that comes from a slave. I heard Pastor Reyes talk about it once. That comes from a slave mind, right? Because the slave master had to teach the Black people how to worship God, and yet at the same time reverence Him as master.
Yes, that's right.
And so when you understand that that's a part of our denominations, a part of our ordinations, a part of how we do things, that's why sometimes, and I knock no one, I look at some of these organizations and I see nothing but men sitting up here in these bishop positions. And then I go, wait a minute, you got all these men and these bishops and these leadership positions, but you got a whole crowd full of women out there. Because they're gaining them positions from family, right? My daddy was a preacher. My uncle was a bishop. Now I'm gonna take this position. I'm gonna step into this position, right? And then over time, right? Just like with anything, you start to water it down. I heard a woman say one time, we've gotten really good at playing religion, playing church, not faith. Playing it. We can do it real good. We can dance, we play music, we can do it real good. But at the end of the day, people going home depressed, broke, suicidal, beating their spouses, hurting their kids. The community don't look no better because you are not really reaching out to God. You're creating an organization that's going to bring you a windfall and keep your money going so you don't ever have to work. And I know people don't want to hear that. But this is really kind of where we are, and why I always say study. God told you study to show yourself approved. You have to study.
All right, so listen, because I never want to have these conversations where it seems like we're just always pointing out the problem, and never offering solutions. So now I'm a pastor. And I'm hiring you for the job. And that job is to help me to create to create an environment in my church that will cater to men, that will nurture men, that will send a message to say, hey, this is a ministry that not only sees you as an individual, but values you as a person. what advice would you give a leader as to how to create that brotherhood or to foster a genuine brotherhood in his or her ministry? I'm gonna throw it to you first, Sean, and then we're just gonna go around.
Got to rebuild the foundation. You can't just throw it in there. You can't just start it in the middle. You have to rebuild that foundation. You have to say, let's start this stuff over. Eddie, this is what I want you to do. I need you to do this. Like, you have to rebuild the foundation, and you have to start placing men in position where they not only feel the V word value, but their knowledge, use them for what they have in their brain. Show man, hey, I want you to teach every Wednesday. Going to be, you teaching this. You give men a job that actually like make him like feel value and make him like, hey, this is an important position, and I get to be in charge of it, or I get to, really show who I am, and is that makes men happy. You let men be men, not I want you to be on a security team. Well, I don't want to be on a security team. Well, I think that's where you'll be a good fit. And now you're forcing me to do it. Nope. Rebuild the foundation. Hey, let's have a conversation. What do you want to do here at this church? What do you feel that you can bring to this table? And once he tell you what he can bring to the table, you go and pray about whatever you got to do and value that. This is how I get this man in this church. He's bringing this idea. Let's put him in this position. But don't just take my idea now, sister so-and-so get that position, because of, that's enough. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, rebuild the foundation. Have a conversation.
I already know where you were going.
Yeah,
and you see it a lot. You see it a lot, man. And it's one of those things where, like you said, you bring something to the table, but for whatever reason, they don't think that you're the one that should be.
You're good enough.
Spearheading it. You're not good enough. The idea is great, but you're not good enough to spearhead the idea. Ain't that crazy?
You're not good enough to spearhead that.
That's insane.
That goes back to that image thing, guys. That goes right back to the image thing. It's like this thing my father always said. Sometimes people don't want to hear the message because of who's giving the message. You know what I'm saying? It goes back to the image thing. That's why I say if we can break that down and get rid of that, everything be cool, because there's a lot of folks that sit in these churches with great ideas, y'all. Mm-hmm. Great ideas. But they never get a chance because they don't fit the image. All right, I'm done, y'all. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I didn't know if you said.
Right, I thought he was going to hit some more stuff. Well, okay, but Phil, I'm gonna put the same question to you. What do I, as a leader, what do I need to do? I'm trying to bring men into the church. Give me some suggestions. Help me help you.
Me and you gonna walk out the main part of the church. We're gonna go to the front door. We're gonna push them open, and we're gonna walk outside. We're gonna walk outside those four walls. You go by the highways and byways, compel thee. We're gonna get out here and start ministering to these men on these streets. It's men that walk past these churches all day, every day. And sometimes some church folks won't say two words to them. No, Pastor Mike, man, you're gonna take a walk around this neighborhood. We're gonna take a walk around this neighborhood. We're gonna go out here, and we see some young brothers out here. We're gonna talk to them. If they need prayer, we're gonna pray for them, and we're gonna extend an invitation to our church to them. Brother, our service started at 10 o'clock. This is Pastor Mike. I'm Deacon Phil. Come join us one Sunday. If you can't make it this Sunday, next Sunday. But I'll be looking forward to seeing you, brother. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go out there and minister to these men. We're gonna show them that somebody care about them. We're gonna show them that we're not the bougie folks that people think we are.
I like it. Eddie, look, man, I'm paying you some good money. I need you to help me.
Mike, you're supposed to tell me you're paying the good money, Mike.
I'm paying you some good money, man. I'm bringing you in. I need some help. What can I do?
You know, here's the thing, man. You just have to follow in the Bible. Jesus, when he chose his disciples, he talked to them on a very, very personal level. And every one of them that he met, right? When you read the Bible, you see that when Jesus came to them, whether they were fishermen, whether it was tax collectors, whatever they were, he met with them on an individual in an individual way, right? I think that when people join your church, or it's like for me, when I was in the military, whenever I would have a new guy come into my division, my department, or whatever, when they came in, I knew that they were going to feel like outsiders, right? So I would say, hey, we're going to take this guy, we all going to go to lunch together. And while we sit there at lunch, we're just going to talk about, where you come from, who you are, right? What's your experiences, so we can learn each other, right? So we can get familiar with each other. And then over time, right, that little bit of reaching out and talking to that person is huge, because what happens is they no longer feel like an outsider. They no longer feel like everybody looking at them, right? And then when you give them, because it's the other part that I think that churches should do too, when you get a person, especially a male in your church, whether you're old, young, or whatever, right? Once you get them in, they're in the church and they're becoming a part of it, allow them to know who they can talk to, who they can call. Hey, brother, right here, like Phil just said, be open to these people, right? Because spirituality is a growth thing, right? It takes time. And so if they know they can call Mike, Phil, or Sean, right? And when they struggling, when they feel like, man, I don't even want to do this, they telling me not to go to church. My boys say I shouldn't go to church, right? And they can talk to you on a real man-to-man level, because that's what Jesus did, on a man-to-man level, because that's a relationship approach, right? So then they have people they can depend on. If you also read that Bible, you notice that Jesus, to a certain times, he put his disciples with each other. Hey, you go with him, because y'all are better at being able to talk to each other and understand what this walk is supposed to be about, right? And that's what I mean by we don't do that a lot. If we want to grow the church to get it back to what it is, I hate to say this, you got to kind of go back to the early slave market, because that's what they did. You wasn't by yourself. Billy was with you. You was with him from KC to KC, but you depended on Billy, right? And when Billy wasn't there, you went and found Billy because you didn't want your butt beat, right?
Yes, sir.
But so if you look at it as a growth mentality, a transformational growth mentality, and understand that that's how you have to treat men. But I like what something that Sean said. If you give them a job, right? They was getting beat, but they had a job. Right. And some of them would die on that job, picking that cotton.
Absolutely.
And they will beat you for the master, because we got to get this job done, right?
Yep.
Slave owners history, they show you that this stuff wasn't done in a vacuum. They knew what they was doing. They knew how to do it. There was a book structure on how to do it. And so it's nothing hard but bringing people into an organization, bringing people into your church, but you have to grow them. Your job as a pastor, as a church, is to grow everybody, right? Their spirituality, because we all want to grow in this church. And if we approach it at that from the time they come in, from the time you open the doors to the church, it's like opening the doors to your house. I'm letting you come in here, and I want you to trust me, and I'm gonna trust you, right? And I'm gonna be there for you when you need. I'm not here just to take your money. I'm not welcoming you in as a paycheck, right? Oh, we got a new paycheck coming in. He can't. He got a Rolex on. Woo. We know we want to bring him into the church, right?
Yes. We're gonna give him a position as soon as he joins.
Yeah, you're gonna be the dude that do this, and that, because we want to keep you.
Yes, sir.
Don't have a name.
Man, listen, you don't have a name, boy. You're gonna be co-pastor in 3 months.
Lord have mercy.
Man.
Bishop in the year. You be bishop in the year.
He said Bishop of the Year.
This is so serious. This is for real.
This for real. So listen, I made a list, and I'm gonna go through the list with you guys, and I want y'all, if you agree, disagree, chime in at any time. Okay. So and this is just in regards to creating a culture for. Okay. Terrence said we also have to stay encouraged when inviting the people in, and not everyone is going to be open to church. And the more people you can't reach, and as humans, it can become discouraging, and you'll give up with even extending invitation to church. That's true.
That's
that
true.
consistency.
Yep.
That consistency is important, and he mentioned that earlier. All right. So here are the things that I came up with when it comes to creating an atmosphere where creating an atmosphere in the church for men. Number one, you got to speak the man. You got to speak men's language, and what I mean by that is because men connect with clarity. We connect with conviction. We connect with purpose, right? So if you're going to preach and teach, you got to preach and teach that way, right? You got to make words practical. What does this mean for me? How does this apply to my job? How does this apply to my life? How does it apply to my family? Then you also have to honor masculinity. Honor masculine responsibilities without shame. Stop with this toxic masculinity stuff, man.
Right.
Since when has being a man become toxic? I don't understand that. And you got to start using real life illustrations. And I'm talking about those things that resonate with that brother. You got to use some stuff that he knows and that he understands, right? Second thing we got to do, we got to build brotherhood. And I'm not talking about programs. It is a difference. So atmosphere isn't created with flyers. It's created with fellowship.
Yep.
And so, and even if you got to start small, do some monthly men huddles at the church, right? You got to we just started doing a men's fellowship that we're going to start doing every quarter. Have open, honest discussions about fatherhood, finances, faith, failure.
Sex.
Come on.
Yep.
All parenthood. You gotta have these discussions, and then invite testimonies from men at every stage of their life, because a young man's opinion needs to be valued just as much as this man that's been here for over 80 years. We gotta stop. We gotta stop we gotta stop disregarding some of the young men's opinion. And the whole goal of that is to turn strangers into brothers, right? Yep. So you got to do that. And I'm going back to honor masculinity, because what I've seen over the course of the last 15, 20 years is the erasure of men, so to speak. In today's culture, you got a lot of men who feel like they have to apologize for being a man. That's why.
So
go ahead.
I will tell you, this is my theory. Y'all out there ain't got to agree with it. The reason why we're having so much of that issue with toxic male culture and everything else is it wasn't a problem 50, 60, 100 years ago.
No.
It only has become a problem recently as people of color are becoming the majority in this country.
Speak on it.
When you become the majority in the country, that means a lot more people going to look like us.
Yes, sir.
It's going to look like them. And this is worldwide.
Yeah.
And so in order to dissuade people from having babies, being men, being fathers, we have to put out this lie, right? That being a man is toxic, is wrong. Seeking a woman, asking her on a date is wrong.
That's crazy.
Not taking her to a 5-star restaurant is wrong.
It's wrong.
Not buying her a full wardrobe on your second date is wrong.
Not paying her bills is wrong.
Is wrong.
That foolishness.
We have done that, right, as society. And that wasn't the problem. If you go back about 57 years, and I say that because Dr. King's been dead. This was the anniversary of his assassination is today. Go back about 57 years. There was a different way in how men, both black, white, and whatever, treated women. how they wearing with their women. They women couldn't just do just anything, and neither could those men just do anything.
Yeah.
So there was a understanding between the sexes that complemented each other, not suppressed each other. And so now what we've seen is people are scared. They're scared and they want to control. We're seeing that in every aspect of our life right now. We're seeing it in our laws. We're seeing it everywhere. And so we're suppressing this masculinity because what masculinity do we really want to suppress? These people of color, these black men who we've always seen as a threat, who we've always said was going to be a threat to us. So we have to make sure that that's not a threat anymore. That's my theory.
No. That's good.
No, that's on point.
That is. So understanding that then, as the church, we have to create a space where biblical manhood is celebrated, and it's not confused with control, but it's actually, you know, it's rooted in like leadership and in love, right? And then you gotta remind these men that strength and sensitivity can coexist.
Yes,
you can have both. You can be sensitive and still be a man. That don't make you I almost said the F word, but it don't make you gay. It don't make you, it does not diminish you as a man. You can be both sensitive and strong. And we got to talk about how roles like protector and provider and priest of the home are lifted up as honorable. I don't know why all of a sudden these roles don't seem to be honored anymore. So we got to be able to honor that. And then you also got to give the man purpose and work. Sean talked about that. And Eddie, you mentioned it too. We want to build. Let the man build. Let that man do. If you give him an assignment, here's what I don't like. I don't like when you give a brother an assignment and then you undercut him.
Yeah.
Instead of let him learn from his mistakes. That's how he do it in the real world. Let him learn from his mistakes. Let him get the experience. Let him build on it. Create service teams, right? Assign mentorship roles. Give them real ministry work and not just some passive stuff like setting up chairs and taking down tables.
I used to tell people all the time, man, if you give a man, that's what I do the same thing with my sons. I don't mind micro failures because the micro failure that I can control that is not going to really hurt a lot will teach you. And it's better than you having a massive failure and not knowing how to recover from it because nobody ever taught you, right? So let them fail, man. Failure is a part of learning.
It's a part of learning. Listen, you gotta create spirit-led safe spaces. And here's why. Because men are often taught not to show emotion, right? So when the Holy Spirit moves, and when the Holy Spirit falls, so it affects you emotionally. You got to be okay. You got to create that space so the man can be vulnerable without being embarrassed. Because you got understand me that this is all tying in with the masculinity thing. Most men have a problem with being vulnerable because vulnerability means weakness in a lot of men's minds. And that's not the case. So we got to create these spaces so they can be vulnerable without being embarrassed. They can cry, they can pray, they can confess, and we can encourage one another in those moments.
Can I say one more thing, Mike?
Yeah, man.
With that, can I ask them with that?
Absolutely.
We have to be careful with that. Also, because, and I know this is going to make a lot of people mad, but it's what it is. We have people who their idea of the Holy Spirit is copying what they see a woman do because that's all that they see.
Come on, because that's all they've seen.
So they are feminine in how they do it, and they copy and emulate what they see the women do.
See, I kind of feel because this Phil right here, he be fighting every Sunday,
right? And you can tell the difference, right? There's a difference there, and you see it so much, especially now online everywhere, and so that is another absence, right? When men worship, you see men worship. I watch my grandfathers, my uncles. When you see men worship, it's a difference, right? There's a difference there. But now we see you can't tell the difference between the man is shouting and shaking his booty and twerking, just like he see the lady over there twerking. I'm just saying.
Now musicians are doing it.
Listen, musicians are doing it. Look, and this is the last thing, and then we're gonna end it. when it comes to men, you gotta speak to legacy.
Yes.
You have to speak to legacy.
Amen to that.
You gotta challenge that man to think. You have to challenge men to think generationally. And some people brush that off like I heard this guy say, when you talk about generational wealth, that was just a term that the white man coined to further, put the man in a perspective where, that they always feel like they're behind. No, you have to speak to legacy. You have to put in that man and put him in a position where he is asking the questions, what am I leaving behind?
Amen.
What am I building? What will my sons and my daughters say about my faith, about my belief, about who I was as a person? If you can't speak to nothing else when it comes to a man, I promise you will be able to connect with him with legacy. Because every man wants to leave a legacy in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I don't care what it is I don't care where you are in life. There is something when you leave here. You want somebody to be able to say, my dad, fill in the blanks. My dad was a great man. My dad was this. Whatever it is, you got to be able to speak to legacy with that man.
You're right, Mike.
You know what I'm saying? If you can't connect on that level, if we can't create a space where we are speaking to legacy, where we're creating safe spaces to be vulnerable, and not vulnerable like sister so-and-so, but a man's vulnerability. If you can't give a man purpose to work, if you can't honor his masculinity, if you can't get out of putting programs together and just start fellowshipping. Everything don't need a program.
Nope.
We don't need a program for everything. And you got to be able to speak that. All of this, you got to be able to speak to language. And above all, we got to be intentional. I love what Terrence said. We got to be consistent, and we have to be bold in what it is that we're trying to do. Because the enemy was bold when he implemented this plan. So atmosphere is cultivated over time, like you said, Eddie. But it starts with one. It got to start somewhere. It got to start with one leader, one conversation, one moment where you're not just building attendance, but you're actually building a brotherhood. Because that's, man, if you can get men, when you can get men to come together, things change, bro. Stuff happens when you get men to come together. So,
that's true.
I think the important thing is we have to be able to recognize where the issues lie, acknowledge that they exist, and then let's take the steps to rectify them. Closing comment, Sean.
Man, we are valued. Don't let any person or organization define you. You are valuable. You just got to go somewhere where they do honor that and honor you as a man and value you as a man. Also, open your mouth. That's how you test to see if this is the place for you. Open your mouth, share your ideas, see what they're talking about. Look around that facility. Do you see men present? If you don't, that may not be it for you. But men, I want to encourage you, men that are listening, watching, you are valuable. You are important. Get to a church, pray, and God will put it on your heart. You will go somewhere where they will see the true value in you. But and don't give up. It's out there for you.
I like that. I like that.
LeBron James, you're valuable.
Don't you go there.
But Michael Jordan is the man. All right.
Yes, he is.
See, I don't even. Why?
Amen, brother.
Eddie,
amen.
Closing remarks, man.
No, I think everything's been said. Listen, it's not easy being a man, but it's definitely not easy being a black man. And having to navigate through all of this. And I think God knows that. And I think that's why he makes us strong to be able to deal with it. But at the same time, I would tell men, I like something that Sean said. It stuck out to me. If you go to a church and you see that you're not being valued as a man in that church, if you see that there are nothing there but women, you need to be careful in many ways, right? Because I've seen you people go into church full of women. You only one of the few men that's there, and you open yourself to a world of problems, right? Because now your wife, the women that's there, women gravitate towards men. I know women don't like to face that fact, but they gravitate towards men. They ask men to do something. Your wife don't come to church one Sunday, sister such and such say, "Can you drop me off?" Right? And then that's, even if it's innocent, that's looked at as something else, right? You have jealousies between pastors and everything, and jealousies between pastors and the men who are there, right? That happens too. So I would just say, before you go and join a church, on the people that are when you go there open, but go there also looking and understanding, is this where God wants me to be, right? And if you don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel like they're welcoming you, valuing you, there's nothing wrong with getting up, knocking the dust off your feet, and going on go someplace else, because it's not worth you going into a situation, into a church, just to be at church. That's bad for you spiritually, mentally, physically, and will put you in a situation that God doesn't even want you in. And then you're going to struggle to get out of it. So all I would say to the men that's watching is that, listen to what we said tonight, and understand also that it is a journey. Trust God, ask God to lead you and guide your path, and he'll take you where you need to go. You just have to be open and be willing for it. So it's a good conversation.
I like it. Phil?
First of all, I want to thank Brother Eddie coming on, Brother Sean, Bet Down, See Red. Thank you for coming on. But everything they said, I agree with, and also make sure that that leader that you're about to be under is actually a leader. One thing about Faith Open Charity, and I'm gonna talk about my church. Mike could tell you, Mike and his wife came to me, and I told him I don't do church, but Kennedy was bothering me, and just to shut up, I said I'm gonna go one day. And
just tell it all, Phil.
I'm being real, and I got and to be honest, what pulled me to that church was pastor. I got him. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's another thing we need to realize. Just like what you're saying, when there's no me, make sure you up under somebody that's going to teach you.
Yeah.
That's going to respect you. You know what I'm saying? It's going to respect you as being a man. That's not going to. You don't need nobody that's going to be trying to son you and you almost 100 years old yourself. That's one thing. No grown man wants to be son. Mm-hmm. Now we're never too old to learn, but see, there's a difference between trying to give somebody an opinion and you talking to them like they're your child. That's a difference. So I would say, men, the church needs you. It really do. The church needs you, because if we get God in our lives, just think, our families to be better, our neighborhoods to be better, our school, everything will be better. But first, we have to pull the men in. But make sure that the shepherd of that church is a real leader, first and foremost. Because if you get up under somebody that's not a real leader, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Look, I first of all, I want to thank our guests, Sean and Eddie, for coming on. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all insight. I appreciate this conversation because I think that we pulled back some layers, and it's a lot of layers. Yeah, man. But I think we pulled some back, and kind of why men don't feel connected, and more importantly, what we can do about it. We talked about brotherhood and about purpose and about even like church hurt and past experiences. And look, and I want to encourage you, if you're a man listening right now, let me remind you, you were never meant to walk this walk by yourself.
Nope.
Never. You're never meant to walk this thing by yourself. And to the pastors, to the leaders and the spiritual advisors, all of y'all that may be watching this thing, listen, build the atmosphere, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Create that space where men can be challenged, where they can be, where they can be changed and connected. And to every one of y'all watching or listening, listen, brothers, don't wait for the perfect invitation.
No.
You make the invitation. I dare every man watching this and every man that may watch it later, even all of us that's on here, I dare you to show up, speak up, and step up. Because that's how change happens. Because it's just like Phil said, when men rise, families are strengthened, communities change, and legacies can shift. I promise you it can. So I just want to encourage all you brothers, man. Listen, it's a road we traveling, but I believe if we can travel it together, man, we're gonna be all right. That's real talk.
Real talk.
So Eddie, I appreciate you, my friend. Listen, y'all make sure y'all check out Erudition Network, Black History, Interactive Black History every Thursday. What time, Eddie?
Every Thursday about 5:00. However, I'm gonna be on Saturday this week because I couldn't schedule an issue, so I'll be on at 5:00 Saturday, this Saturday. So yeah.
All right, Sean, you got anything coming up?
Nothing, man. I have nothing coming up right now, man. It's just been a different season for me, but I know there's something in the refrigerator that I need to pull out to cook. So I'll be cooking soon, but right now I'm just, I just gotta open up the refrigerator and look in there.
Are we talking like
was this a metaphorical? Or was this like real?
This is definitely metaphorical.
Okay.
Look, I thought he was trying to tell me, Mike, you running this a little long, fam. I'm hungry.
No.
Oh, I felt like I went back when I was a kid.
Shuncation though. Ain't you on Shuncation, right, Sean?
I'm definitely on vacation.
Yeah.
Cool. My bad, vacation.
But yeah, I got whatever there. But yeah, I'm definitely I got some stuff in the refrigerator that I need to pull out. And I need to just go ahead and cook some stuff up. I'll be cooking soon. You're gonna smell something soon. You're gonna smell something good coming soon. Right. But it's still in there. It's still here. It's still stuff in me. I just gotta, focus. I just gotta, I ain't hungry yet. I'm in a season I'm not hungry yet. I know I'm gonna get hungry. We all get hungry. You may you don't have a good full breakfast, but that next day or two you'll be hungry again. And so I'm not as hungry yet, but I know that pretty soon or later I'm gonna be hungry, and I'm gonna open up the refrigerator and I'm gonna cook something.
Well, hey man, ain't nothing wrong.
Metaphorically speaking,
I got you.
Yeah.
So listen, man, I appreciate you, brothers. I love you, brothers, man.
Thank you,
Phil.
Oh man,
Phil, as always. Listen, Phil, I appreciate your insight, son. You came with it tonight, man. Listen.
No, man, Mike. I want to apologize because I done grew out of this. I think, not trying to say, but I done grew out of being a part doing all this. I want to be on my laptop and this is so unprofessional. Looking at it right now, it's just so unprofessional.
Wait. Listen, I used to tease Phil because when we first started doing live videos, Phil was always in the bed. I'm like,
I don't like this at all.
Why don't you just get a bearskin rug and some candles and lay down in order to do the podcast that way? And then eventually, one day, Phil was in a chair and he was sitting up. I was like, where are you? He was like, I'm at home. I said, you ain't in the bed? He said, no, it didn't look professional. I said, look at God. Growing this man.
I don't like the way this look. I don't like the way this look at all.
It's all good, man. I understand the circumstance.
But God is still good, though.
He's still good.
He's still got
that play-in, Phil.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Bulls in the play-in. You hear that, Terrence?
Hey, Sean, I'm gonna tell you one thing. I'm glad we got rid of the Zach and DeMar, because them young boys out there running. They just out there running.
Y'all talking about basketball? Well, I guess it is brotherhood.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's called fellowship, right?
Let me end the show so y'all can have y'all basketball conversation. Listen, this has been one.
See, that's what I'm saying. I ain't coming to your church. You don't value.
Listen, you know what?
Now he was the main one talking about fellowship and all that stuff.
But look, the Bible also says do everything decently and in order. Y'all had that conversation outside of what we talking about.
Y'all crazy.
Y'all gonna let Terrence bully y'all into talking about the Bulls and the Lakers, and we talking about men and issues. Let me end this show. Listen, y'all, I appreciate it.
Good talk, man. Good talk, fella. This is
a really, really good conversation, man. I appreciate it. Listen, next Friday, if you ain't doing nothing, come and hang out with your boy. We'll be back at it again right here on the ManUp Real Talk podcast, same time, same channel. And as we always say, imparting on behalf of our guest my partner Philip Hines, and our guest Eddie K. Phillips and Sean Pritchett. Listen, this has been the ManUp Real Talk podcast, and until we talk again, my friends, y'all get 2 fingers to the side. Make sure you holler at your boys, because we are officially out.
Peace.
Peace.